In the higher end homes, what we're seeing now are a lot of sculleries. If there's the room or the opportunity to do it, we're seeing a lot of these, especially in a lot of the show homes now in the Atlanta area. And what a scullery is it's just a working, almost like a working kitchen, a smaller working kitchen where you can make a mess.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Posner Properties Perspective. We're excited today. We're going to talk about interior design and beyond with Lisa Glazman, who's with LMG Designs. And we're going to talk about how your home reflects not only you, but it also how do you get it ready when you're going to put it on the market? And is there different ways of designing for your lifestyle versus when you're going to get ready to sell your home? So thank you for coming on today, Lisa. And if you could tell me a little bit about how LMG Designs came about.
Thanks for having me. So I've always had an eye for design. I guess you could say I started way back in the late 90s with my first home where I did a complete renovation with a builder and I sort of got the bug. And then I started just my husband and I would buy homes, fix them up, live in them for a few years and sell them. So I really learned a lot through that process. And finally, about 10 years ago, I started to work for a high-end builder here in Atlanta and really, learned a ton, not just about design, but about the whole building process from start to finish. And that just really launched me into this career. And I've always had friends ask me for advice. And finally, one of my friends said, Lisa, why don't you just do this? Just go and do it. So I did. And I've loved it ever since. All my business is all word of mouth. And I've just been so grateful for that has happened and been, again, very, very appreciative. And I love what I do.
One of the things we've talked about in the past is the difference between just designing and designing with a plan in mind on how that room is going to be used. I specifically think of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you think you bring in when you're talking to the builder and to the potential home buyer about new ideas for making the kitchen more usable?
I always look at the floor plan. That's number one. I've actually looked at floor plans that architects have drawn up, and sometimes they don't always function well. And I think also from a female perspective, we have different perspectives of how we move in the kitchen and just overall functionality of a home. But I always like to ask the client to send me inspiration photos of what they like and what that really helps the designer, but it also shows you that there's a commonality between all of those photos that they save in a file or show me. And that really helps me to begin the process. But I also like to keep longevity in mind, even though the client might say, we might sell the house in whatever, 5 years, or even if it's 10 years. I try to make it as classic as possible, but still having something a little different. And I want, whatever I do, I want the client to be happy and I want it to reflect their story, not just mine. I don't have one particular design style. I really try to work within the client's preferences. But again, nothing too crazy because even though they say, oh, we're not going to sell, chances are they are going to sell quicker than they think. So just try to keep that in mind.
What do you think are some of the things right now that are bringing value to the home when they are putting on market from a design perspective?
Well, I think definitely the kitchen's important. Stone countertops certainly help. I think just as neutral as possible. Putting paint is the easiest thing to change. So maybe have a pop somewhere, maybe in the powder room. I love seeing a fun wallpaper in a powder room. But I think overall, just keeping it neutral, putting a lot of those personal photos away of the family, but just really keeping it clean, organized, and again, timeless in a way. And maybe, listen, not everybody can afford the highest ends of furniture, but try to mix things up a little bit, make it a little eclectic. And again, one thing that I feel just in my own personal experience when we were looking at homes is a white kitchen. For some reason, it just kind of stands the test of time, and that seems to be the number one selling point of a kitchen is a white kitchen. It's like it's timeless. And every article that I've read on real estate says a white kitchen's timeless, and it really helps for resale. But of course, if you want to throw in like if you have like a stained wood island or something like that's great too, or different color. But again, try to keep things as neutral as possible if you can.
We were talking the other day about how to keep the countertops clear and clean. And you mentioned a new room in some homes, and especially in the higher end homes.
Yes, in the higher end homes, what we're seeing now are a lot of sculleries. If, there's the room or the opportunity to do it, we're seeing a lot of these, especially in a lot of the show homes now in the Atlanta area. And what a scullery is just it's just a working, almost like a working kitchen, a smaller working kitchen where you can make a mess. It's different from a butler's pantry. A butler's pantry is more of a pass through where you still might have like a sink, a little bar sink, or a beverage center in a butler's pantry. But a scullery is really more of a working kitchen where you could see a dishwasher, an oven or two, a full size refrigerator. So this is becoming quite common these days if you can do it.
I always joke around about what I call the Costco pantries. They're now, pantries in the older homes used to be a small little closet if you were lucky. And
Hmm.
now there are these walk-ins with tons of shelving, and you can do all your Costco runs.
Right.
Um, so
Yes.
that's become one of I love that when I walk in and I see one of these big rooms, but
Yeah, and
I think
some
those
I'm
are.
working with a client now, and we're not doing a big walk-in pantry, but we are doing some nice pantry space in the kitchen. It's more of like just a couple of cabinets with shelving, with rollout shelving. There's ways to really make room. And even where I'm from Toronto originally, and the homes there are the real estate markets and kind of insane there. It's very expensive. And a lot of the older homes in particular are small. So you have to make do. So you rarely see a walk-in pantry. You're lucky to have one there if you have the room. Um, it's interesting. So it just depends on the client again, but it is nice to have that extra space for sure. Or even in a laundry room, you can convert some laundry rooms. You can obviously put some extra shelving in there for pantry goods, etc.
What are you seeing as new trends and colors? I always joke around because everything I see is always it's all the grays, which was nice and it's very neutral and I get it. But when you show a client six new homes that have been renovated and they're all gray at the end, you're going, "Oh,
Yeah.
I want something a little different."
Yes, we're definitely steering away from that. We're going back to a very warm palette. We're seeing browns. We're seeing a lot of terracotta, like and burgundy. I was just at High Point Market, and the color is out there. I mean, that's what people are doing. Teals, a lot of muddy greens. I'm designing a house right now. We're using a lot of. I'm actually doing a sort of a muddy green cabinet in the living room and mud room, and green really is a neutral. It stands the test of time. It's just not all over the place, but just in a few places. So we're seeing a lot of those warm colors. We're seeing grays are still in, not gray, but grays. There are a couple of really good ones that I like to use, and I would say some of the jewel tones are back as well, and gold. But for fixtures, believe it or not, chrome is coming back. Like light fixtures, the chrome, the shiny, that sort of, mid-century modern is coming back. And we're calling it also not traditional, but it's called new traditional, where you could take your grandmother's antique sofa or chair and cover it in a scalamandre animal print, and it's just an update and it looks gorgeous. So there are ways to still keep the traditional, but just add a little bit of modernity to it. That's what
I asked
what
about incorporating. I've done several of my clients have been downsizing, but they want to take maybe some of that special furniture, but bring it back to life. And you were
Mm-hmm.
just talking about you could reupholster or paint. What are some of the things
There's
that you're seeing people do?
Yeah, reupholstering is big. We're kind of going back to the stained instead of painting. We're going back to some of the woods, the staining. There's so many things you can do, and you don't have to do a whole room. Like I love even like a modern sofa with a couple of traditional chairs. Looks so pretty and eclectic, and so we're seeing a lot of that. I feel like Atlanta is still quite traditional for the most part. Again, where I'm from, Toronto, seems to they're kind of getting there, but they're really modern, and a lot of very modern contemporary homes are being built. I feel like there's certain things that we're still behind in some ways with the some of the finishes. Like in Europe and in Canada, we're seeing like flush outlets on the walls and in the stone, and flush air vents on the floor. So we're seeing a lot of that. So we're getting there, but we're still quite traditional, pretty
It's
traditional here.
interesting that you mentioned light covers because one of the things I'll sometimes tell people when they're getting their house ready for market, you either have to, for sure, wipe them down and clean them, but sometimes it's just worth replacing them. And it's a simple little touch, but you just painted the walls and then you're keeping the kind of dingy light cover or the air vent. I have a big thing about changing out the air vents.
Yeah.
Um,
And you can get
so
covers. You can get covers that have these really neat patterns, and those are available online. There's several suppliers, and they just add a little something, so you're not looking at a boring grate. But that's me. Most people
no,
don't
that's what
think it's
it's sometimes to me, it's those little touches that someone with a good eye like yourself can bring. And it shows someone that a little extra care was taken with the home,
yes.
uh, that they made it their own. How do you talk with someone when they're talking about budget and explaining your value of what you bring to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I talk about the fact that I have worked for several builders, so I understand the process from the get-go. I also, try not to push my style on or one style. I really try to listen to the client, understand their needs, and obviously I like to show them my work as well. References are important, but I really think my experience brings me to the table, that I can bring to the table helps. And really, when I engage with a client, I feel like I become part of their family. And not every designer is suited to that particular client. And so I think it's really important for the clients to interview several designers, make sure they're a good fit for them. That's really important. And having being flexible as well. And just from a designer's standpoint too, I like to, let clients know that this environment has kind of changed for designers. And so if you're hiring a designer, you need to trust them and understand that things can get delayed and things are sometimes out of our hands. And we do our best to try to make sure everything gets delivered on time, gets installed on time. But there's so many things thrown at us now. And I think we all want things now. And we're used to that of going onto Amazon and buying whatever we want now. It's going to get delivered in 2 days or even today. I try to, I'm very transparent up front in terms of what I can offer. And I think being transparent is really important in this business as well. And just know that to trust us designers, like, and let us finish. Let us please finish, finish the job. It's like
You have a whole
a cake and
vision, I
not
think.
putting icing on it, not being able to put icing on it. So yeah, I don't know if that
It's
answered
a,
your question, but
yeah, no, that's so because I think it's important for people to understand as a realtor and as a designer, someone's entrusting us with their home. And this is such an important part. We spend so much time, even more so than we have in the past now in the home. And it has to be a place where we feel comfortable and we can entertain and we can work. And that's all now
huge.
taking place in the home. And you'll see like more grouped sitting areas. The styles of how people are decorating homes have just changed. For example, a lot of people don't use a formal living room anymore. That a lot of times becomes the office, or it becomes a more of a conversational area, or people have made like, not, I don't want to call them a game room because it's adults, but where you can gather with adults, and be it mahjong or poker or different things, that they'll do things that we're more hopefully interacting with people, and inviting people back into the home.
It's exactly so true because I was just at High Point, and sorry about the leaf blowers. I was just at High Point, and pretty much every single showroom that offered case pieces had game tables. In fact, some of them were even offering mahjong lessons to designers, like beginner mahjong lessons. And we're definitely seeing that trend. We have for many years. And some of the projects I'm working on now, there are no formal living rooms to speak of. One home I'm designing right now, it's an arts and crafts home. And as soon as you walk in, there is sort of a formal sitting area, but we're just going to do some 4 chairs around a coffee table. And that's going to be their formal living room. And then off down the hallway, there's a, more of a family room with a kitchen connected, all open. So we are seeing this trend quite a bit, and have for some time. But the game tables was just, I knew it was, trendy, but like I said, game tables galore. I've never seen anything like it.
And talk about like that open concept that you just talked about. Now, so I saw two trends. Everyone wanted open concept and wanted like the whole house open. But then a little bit during COVID, they realized I need some rooms. What are you seeing
That's
now?
happening
What do you
too.
see?
That's how, yes. I think we're seeing more of that happening where they're closing off rooms, or if clients are designing homes from scratch, custom homes from scratch. I would say like you're still seeing the open concept, like family room, kitchen, but there are some trends where, the ceilings are becoming a little lower. Like you're not seeing these 12, 14-foot ceilings anymore. Those are really hard to work with, especially in a kitchen. So yes, we're sort of seeing some of these smaller sort of, or walls going up, so to speak. Also, I know during COVID, some people were building coach houses in their in their backyards to have like a separate place to go to work. So we're seeing a lot of that as well. Or sorry, that was more during COVID. But yes, I think we are making things a little more intimate, a little more smaller, a little smaller, if you will. We are seeing that, yes.
You mentioned kind of like the tiny home ideas or the auxiliary dwelling units. I work with someone who's starting to specialize in that. Have you had a chance yet to design any of the kind of tiny homes? Have you worked on that at all?
No, not yet. No, but that would be fun.
It is. I'll introduce you guys because I think their design is key, because when you're designing an 800 to 1200 square foot, and some are even smaller, you have to make the design of it is very important because every inch matters.
Every inch counts. You have to use every single inch of space, I bet. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and be creative. And
One of the other things I do is I provide 3D photorealistic renderings, and I can provide floor plans, and so that really also helps the client. Not all my clients need that, but for those who can't really visualize things, that's been really helpful. And I've actually collaborated with some other designers, some great designers in Atlanta, who've asked me to provide that service for their clients. So that's really been fun, and and really great. And also, even with architects, some architects don't like to do that. They're just strictly, CAD drawings. But if in order to see an elevation or 3D photorealistic rendering, that's something I can provide as a service. So that's branched off my business in an area I never thought would go. So that's been really fun.
have you found AI has affected a little bit of what you can do, or just more that there are more programs available for you to use?
There are, and I think as designers, we just have to embrace it and not be afraid of it. And there's still some hiccups with that. You'll see like a mirror floating on the ceiling, or a mirror will be off in the weirdest spot. And even though you tell it, you really have to prompt. It's hard to prompt sometimes. Like you really, it's very particular, and it still has a ways to go. But I think for myself, I'm always learning. And I think you want a designer who will embrace change and not be afraid of it. And I think it's here to stay. We have to just live with it and figure it out.
Figure, yeah. We didn't talk about this, but I don't know do you do anything with smart homes with helping them decide?
I haven't done a fully smart home, but there are elements of smart, that we incorporate, whether it's with the lighting, and the media aspects of the home. Some clients are really into surround sound and speakers and all of that. And then controlling your heat and air. That's pretty common nowadays. You have like these. Nest is one system that comes to mind where you can control all of that from anywhere, just with an app on your phone. So that's also pretty popular, as well as your cameras and all of that. So yes, I mean, smart is definitely, it's here.
It's here, yeah.
Yeah.
What is one of your favorite things to design when a client comes to you? What's one of the rooms that you enjoy doing the most?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Oh gosh, I love a powder room. I think that is just the place to have so much fun and just go for it. So I love that. And I love like mixing metals and just plumbing fixtures and seeing what's out there. And there's so many fun mirrors you can do or you can use. I also love, like, I guess, designing everything, but I guess primary bedrooms are fun too. I love layering like bedding and just incorporating all kinds of textures and that sort of thing. And a lot of people don't know how to make a bed. I realize that. That's something that designers really can help with. That makes a difference, but really everything. But I'd say like my first and foremost favorite is a powder room, because you can just have so much fun.
Is there a way you incorporate kind of your working with the architects and the builders, and then as the designer when you walk, how you've been able to incorporate all that?
Yeah, so ideally from a designer's perspective, the designer should really be involved before the building starts, before the architect starts. That would be so much better for the designer, because you don't want to rush through things, and it just makes sense to have everything done beforehand. So most of the time when I'm brought in with an architect, it's at the very beginning stages, and we'll work together as a team to select finish. Well, I usually do the selection of finishes. The trim package is a combination of the designer and the architect, depending on how they work. And obviously the clients involved as well. But I love working with architects. I've worked with some of the best architects in the city, and it's just, it makes it so much more fun. And just, but there is a process, and I respect that process, and really respect what the architect can do. And the builder too. The builder, obviously, sorry, I forgot the builder, but the builder is, I've worked with some great builders as well. And just communication is key. That's really the key. Communication, having a schedule, keeping to the schedule if you can. That doesn't always happen, but just having, the builder have a process. And sometimes I end up project managing a bit, if the builder needs it. But I love those projects where we can all engage and communicate and work as a team. Those are just the best projects to work on.
I think you just kind of answered part of the next question, which was what's some of the biggest challenges the designer faces when working with residential projects?
Delays, not just, and it's not always the builder's fault, but delays in just trades. Good trades are really hard to come by, as
Mhm.
many people know. And so it's, again, the clients wanting everything today. And sometimes that just realistically can't happen. So we all have to be patient. But yes, it's deliverables, just things getting delayed, products getting delayed, trades are stretched thin. And so that's why, and communication is just so important.
So I think one of the things that's important, one of the reasons why you want to work with a designer is the connections they have with the trades, so that
Mhm.
you're using quality people that are going to show up. I know personally, even on my own home, and I was getting some quotes for painting outside the house, and I had wanted our front door did not have an overhang. So if it was raining out, people are standing in the rain. It always bothered me. So I was trying to get some quotes, and people would show up and then I'd never get a design from them. I'd never hear from them. So it would be
Yeah,
like, well, obviously you're not going to work on my house because you're not going to finish. And so working with a designer who's got those great contacts, especially when you're customizing and you're doing special things, you want people working on your home that you know are going to complete the job. They're going to be there. They're going to
100%.
stand behind their work. And I think that's so important.
Yes. And especially too, just I have built up a nice sort of Rolodex of trades for myself. But I also respect when I do work with builders, I do respect, I, let them go their way with the trades because they too have also established relationships with their trades and their subs. So that's I'm always very open and to that as well. You have to be, and also just for case pieces, upholstery, things like that. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there that designers charge more for everything, and that's not always the case. So we have access to some really great things that you won't see at Pottery Barn, sorry, and Restoration Hardware. If you're hiring a designer, I personally, think that my client shouldn't have a living room that looks like it's out of, West Elm or Pottery Barn or Restoration Hardware. Yeah, it's okay to have maybe a piece or two from there, but that's why you're hiring a designer, because we have access to things that you won't see. And like you say, like trades as well. So we have some great, trades under our wings, and it can make a difference for sure.
And also, when someone goes to sell their home, having a home that looks well put together, who has its unique style, but is still can go across many different individual tastes, it definitely helps a home sell when a home has been well put together and looks, it just kind of has like an elegance to it and a flow, and it will help the eventual sale of the home.
Yes.
So I think during COVID, homes that were vacant were easy to sell because people were just, so desperate for homes. But now in a different market, I think having homes that are staged but look professional, or even if it's your own home, having the decor just makes it look like a home and helps
Yeah.
people visualize. Um,
Yeah.
so I,
I think that like I like a home that tells a story of a family, and usually as a buyer you would walk, you kind of know right away. I think you get a pretty good feeling right away. But again, there's certain tricks of staging, right? Like again, if you have like a bright red wall painted, painted a nice neutral color, put a lot of your family photos away. You want the client to come in and feel like it's their own home as well. Again, as designers, we can help with that as well, to help stage if needed. And that's and I usually, the client doesn't have to go out and buy anything. We can use what's already there. But sometimes, if it's an empty home, you might want to hire a stager and furniture, and get furniture in there to make it, a little more homey. And also it does actually make, when you have furniture in a room, it can actually make the room appear larger. So those are things that I think are important when selling a home. But designers, there are stagers out there, but there are definitely designers who can help with staging as well. If
So
you
I want to thank you for coming on today, Lisa.
Thank you.
Information on how to contact you is going to be below.
Thank
And we look
you.
forward to seeing some of your future homes and designs. I know you've been featured in some magazines and paper. We used to have papers.
Yes,
So we'll see some of your work. And
thank
I
you.
as I like to say, we'll see you at the closing table.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning into the Posner Property Perspective. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it helpful as you navigate your real estate journey. Remember, whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring the market, I'm here to help to make the process smooth, exciting, and stress-free. Let's take the next step together. Contact me today. I'd love to hear from you and make your real estate wishes come true.